Welcome to the Burst My Bubble podcast. Say hello, Ma.
Hi, everyone.
So my goal, my vision is to get my art presented at an art gallery. My videos, my drawings. So do you want to hear my biography and artist statement, Mom?
I'd like to.
Okay, here we go. My biography. Andrew Koloski, born 1987, grew up in the suburbs of Long Island, New York. Koloski was interested in performance from a young age. He'd entertain the other children with songs and skits. He endured bullying at school, which led to severe mental illness and social isolation. After experiencing a few setbacks, Andrew graduated from Stony Brook University in 2014, with a Bachelor of Science in Business Management, specialization in marketing with a minor in media arts. For a media class, Andrew acted in the Shakespeare play Macbeth as the porter. After college, Koloski's passion for performance resumed. He's self-taught and has years of experience through YouTube videos and social media posts. Although many of his posts are serious discussions about mental health, he often plays the sensational and comical Sel Waters character. Sel Waters is a bit like a professional wrestling or comic book character, which is based on Andrew's personality with the volume turned way up. Aside from videos, Andrew also draws. He began coloring while on the psychiatric ward and in recovery groups. Although they're technically not skilled drawings, art teachers have described them as attention-grabbing and honest. Koloski is at the forefront of new media, using the internet for self-promotion. My artist statement. I am a performance artist, actor, and comedian who utilizes the internet for self-expression. I've created hundreds of YouTube videos. Some are related to mental health, while others are sensational performances. But I don't stick to one genre. Videos are therapeutic for me. I feel validated, heard, and get pleasure from creating them. Aside from YouTube videos, I like to write and model in photographs, but my second biggest artistic achievement is my drawings, which are usually done with markers, crayons, or oil pastels. They're childlike, and some have called them psychological. What do you think?
Wow, that's really good. That's very, very in-depth. What is new media?
I guess, I mean, I don't know if you'd consider the internet new media at this point in time, but I was talking about like social media and utilizing the internet for promotion. That's what new media is.
Oh, okay, yeah, so yeah, I guess unlike the old days, the way things were done back then. Okay.
Yeah, if you think about the 1960s or like even the 90s, if artists, unknown artists wanted to promote themselves, they had no, I mean,
they had to go all over and have exhibits, I guess, right? That's the only way you could really promote yourself. Photography, well, no, not even that. Television? No.
Right, and there are gatekeepers for television. You have to answer to the corporate higher ups, and you need to get somebody to grant you permission. I mean, and obviously, if you're creating videos for YouTube, you have to. I mean, they can ban your account, but I have freedom. A lot more freedom to post. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I do. Can I ask you a question? Are YouTube videos, can they be seen all over the world?
I guess hypothetically, I mean, yeah, because I have fans in England, Australia, Canada,
Wow.
Italy. What are some other unique places? South America. There were some South America people. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, not many people all around the world are viewing me, but technically, people all around the world could. If they knew the Sel Waters pseudonym, they could, find my channel.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. So this presentation of your artwork, does it have to pass any kind of structural review before it gets presented, or how is that going to?
So we have this art proposal, which includes my biography, which I just read to you, and it includes the artist statement, 10 to 20 of my drawings that are very psychological and honest and attention-grabbing. And, I'm going to include some videos. I have a professional video YouTube account where I'm going to select maybe like the best 10 or 20, and I'm going to try and, ideally make money from this at some point.
And get people interested in the characters that you play, the real serious ones, as well as the, like you said, more sensational ones.
Right.
Which do you find are your favorite? The more sensational or the more serious?
Sometimes playing like a wrestler comic book character like Cell Waters is fun because so everybody likes to play the comic book character, but if you're looking to be taken seriously in the mental health community, talking like the Joker doesn't really get you much. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, I get you. I get you. It was funny the other night we watched I don't want to go off topic because this is a very interesting topic, but we watched a comedian, a black comedian called Medea. Have you ever what's his name? Plays the role of Medea. Like you said, you are Cell Waters.
Right.
This black comic plays a woman and does like a couple of roles as a woman, like an outrageous black woman. And it's just really, really funny because of how outrageous the character is.
Right. So if I'm trying to get it, exactly. I don't want to get into other comedians. I want to keep, but
Yeah.
right. It's kind of like playing a character. Yeah. I mean, like Sacha Baron Cohen plays the boring character. Right. Jim Carrey plays the Dumb and Dumber character. So you can play a character. Professional wrestlers often play themselves with the volume turned way up. So there is truth to my character in that it's an extension of my personality. But like, if you ever, I mean, is The Rock really like his character? I'm sure he is, sort of. But
sort of, yeah, I think so.
But I mean, but like, if he in real life, if he's going, look, The Rock's, people will be like, what? But like,
it's The Rock with it turned up, right?
Like, right. It's himself with the volume turned way up.
Gotcha. Well, I look forward to. I'm sure your studio audience too will look forward to, not your studio audience, but your audience out there will look forward to hopefully at some point even this presentation being more taking off and being more visible in the public.
Right. Yeah, and that was my biography. That was my artist statement, and hopefully, okay. So, topics we were discussing, we were talking about loneliness and frustration. Lately I've been very lonely. I mean, I have minimal interaction with you and Dale, and I have a lot of frustration due to my loneliness, and
I think everyone to some degree suffers from loneliness, even when they're with people. I think that the isolation that we're all, and the frustration that we're all feeling in the throes of this COVID lockdown, so to speak, and the scare tactics that are always out there. Oh, there's more cases. Oh, there's less cases. Oh, it's a constant barrage of fear, and fear causes loneliness. And loneliness sometimes is an offshoot of what's happening and no control, having no control. I find for myself that
right. So, like, for example, I know you said a few weeks ago how, what's worse, living with people and everybody's irritated with each other, getting on each other's nerves, because living with people can be very difficult, or
it can,
or loneliness, because, for example, most days since March, and it's now September, going to be October, it's me alone in my apartment-like area. I don't interact with you. I don't interact with Dale. I have friends from the city that I sometimes see, and
I think you perceive that.
Okay.
I mean, yes, you're in, there's many people out there that are in their apartments alone. However, you have to reach out. You don't have to physically be with somebody, but you have to reach out to all of the avenues that you have to interact, be it a discussion, be it a Zoom, be it a telephone call, be it.
Right. Sometimes I'm so full of frustration that I want to scream. And actually, it's kind of like I'm just so full of frustration with the loneliness and the frustration. Can you turn off the answering machine, or should I pause it?
No.
Okay, because I don't want whoever to appear on our podcast because
They're not.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about misperception. I was out back with my mom and stepdad, and I got this misperception that my stepdad had this alpha-like personality. He was treating me like a child, and he was just kind of. I forget exactly what the situation was, but it was kind of like he was. Like I could say the sky was blue, and he would be like, "No, the sky is." It's kind of like.
But I was there, and I was in the same situation, and that was a misperception because he was just quiet. He was in pain, and the misperception is that you don't know that he's in agony with his back. So I find that people perceive things sometimes from their own inner perspective. You're not knowing that he's in pain and maybe he's quiet because, or seems crabby because, or just quiet. He was really just quiet. But your misperception, it's easy to put the narrative that we want to put on a person, but it's wrong because we can, here's an example, misperception, communication, misperception, communication being the next topic.
Right.
I remember a long time ago, I was very shy. And I remember there was a young man that I was interested in. And I perceived that this person would have nothing to do with me, wouldn't talk to me, and that the person said that they thought that I was snobby, that I thought I was better than other people. And I was just extremely, extremely shy and introverted. So the misperception was, oh, I thought I was too good to talk to people, when that was so far from the truth. So
right. I think a lot of people experience that, especially in their youth, like opportunities, like with the opposite gender or whoever you want to date, where like it's a wide open net. Like you it's like, wow, this is the perfect opportunity to date somebody, but your insecurities, you think they view you critically or for whatever reason. But the reality was they probably liked you. It was just like, it was just like a wasted opportunity, and your insecurities and anxieties
and perception, people misperceiving what they think they know. And that's why a lot of generational misperception happens too, where young people can't really understand older people and what they go through on a daily basis because they haven't been there yet. So they misperceive the things that are in front of them as being something other than what they are. Do you understand that?
Yeah, we all misperceive, and we all project. We think we know what's going on in somebody else's mind, but we really don't.
We also think we know what's going on in somebody else's life. Like somebody can be walking down the street and they're not smiling, or and they seem crabby and moody. And meanwhile, they just heard some horrible news. But we think they're directing it at us, and
Right.
They're not. They're just directing it inward, but it seems like it's coming at us. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to take a step back and look at ourselves and how we're perceiving it, and not prejudge something that we didn't ask. How are you feeling? That's leads into the next segment of communication.
Right.
Because misperception with no communication equals a failure to thrive in any relationship. Misperception with a failed communication is the number one reason for divorce in the country. Did you know that?
Obviously, sometimes around certain people, I tend to be passive and not assert myself. And sometimes, the key to, letting off, the key, when somebody does something that bothers you, the key is to assert yourself and let them know, what, this bothered me, and talk it out, communicate. But so often what I do is I internalize. I'm passive, and then I let the passiveness go on, and then I explode in an aggressive rage. What I need to do is I need to assert myself. And so many people are like this. They're passive.
Communicate, communicate,
Communication.
communicate your feelings. If you keep your feelings in and you keep them inside of you, they whirl around in a toxic plume. You have to communicate. Hey, I'm a lot of people are guilty of that. Oh, that person, they came down from the lunchroom and they, and you assume, oh, they snubbed me or they this, and it's so far from the truth. They might be so shy or so nervous of you because they like you. You have to not misperceive social cues and not, and communicate and ask, did I offend you? Is there something that and 9 times that also diffuses bullies. If you go at a bully and say, why are you doing that to me? What is your problem? You can diffuse a lot of situations when you go right at somebody and you ask them, what are you doing? You put the onus on them.
Sometimes you can be so intimidated by a bully that asserting yourself is difficult because they make you so intimidated that it's almost impossible to speak up and just say anything. So you kind of let it.
You know what though? Yes, I hear what you're saying. At the moment, maybe at that moment, the bully is trying to, yes, squash your ability to speak. But if somebody is a decent human being, and if a bully is intimidating you and trying to squash you and won't let you speak and say, hey, why are you doing that? Then you walk away and you do a revenge is a dish best served cold. Then you have your day in court with that bully. Sometimes there are some people, Andrew, that are so.
Sometimes you can't walk away. It could be like, I know there's people that have bully parents, and if you're dependent on them, you kind of and sometimes you can't walk away from a bully. And
what bully parents are you talking about? Children?
Yeah, children with parents that are bullies. And if you're dependent,
I mean, most parents, usually, I mean, are there parents that aren't good to their children? Obviously, I mean, but most parents, I mean, if they're good parents, they love their children and they're not authoritarian. Maybe you're mixing bullying with authoritarian. Like they like back in my day, children were seen and not heard. You weren't allowed to speak at the dinner table. That's the way it was. And now, could you conceive that as bullying? Maybe in a way. I mean, you weren't allowed to speak and you had to eat your food and go to your room and do your homework. And there was no, oh, well, can I watch a little? No, you did what your parents said. It was an authoritative kind of relationship. As we've evolved, through the years, that's changed a lot. Relationships with families have changed a lot. But back in my day, the parents ran the show. The father would come home and say, blah, blah, blah. And the kids.
Right. Parents that are like dictators, that just leads to bad mental health for the kids because the kids, are alone in their head. They internalize it and they want to explode. It's kind of like they're passive to their dictator parents. They internalize they're alone.
I disagree. Did we laugh at my parents when they did it? Yeah, we went upstairs. We laughed, but my parents were good, except for that authoritative kind of way. They were good to me and they loved me. And when they were putting rules down in the house, I was a child and I needed rules and direction. My girlfriend, who had parents that drank all the time and didn't pay any attention to her, she could do whatever she wanted. She would come to my home to have rules because it meant that you were loved. When your parents set down rules, it meant that they cared enough to love you to put down rules. And she
said and sometimes you need to realize, even though your home environment might not be perfect, is it a loving household? Because so basically, I mean, when it comes to, sometimes with me, I need to distinguish between, people that got sadistic pleasure from my suffering were the kids in middle and high school. They didn't love me. They were trying to hurt me. They were trying to harm me. But like people, my parents love me very much. I mean, nobody's home environment is perfect, but the ones who were trying to hurt me were the bullies, and my parents love me. All three of them. You, Dad, Dale. No, none of you were trying to the bullies.
Why? You have to logically put, why would anybody do the things that they do for you in your life? You always have to put logic in a situation. Nobody would logically do and support and love and be there, because people walk away. When things get difficult, people that don't love you walk away. And most people in our lives will walk away if things are tough. The people that stay are the ones that love you, and you'll find that in your whole life.
Okay, let's change the topic to unconditional love. Beautifully segueing into that. Johnny Cash has a song, "If I Were a Carpenter." Basically, the idea of the song was, if I don't have money, or if I was working as a carpenter, a poor person, would I still find the love of my life? Would the love of my life still love me? I don't think they would. I think money, obviously has a lot to do with love. And then I also thought about this. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you got cancer or HIV, or like even there's even some people that if you discover somebody has a severe mental illness, the unconditional love will dissolve. I mean, soulmates. Do you agree there are soulmates that will unconditionally love you no matter what? Or do you?
It's I'll give you a little, if it's okay, and it's not too long. It's a short story. When I was working as a medical professional at one point in my life, I had a patient, no names, and he was going for a operation.
No, let's not. I don't want to.
But it's unconditional.
Okay, there are people. I don't want to get sued. But there are people that lived in like Nazi Germany, that like went to war for their partner. Like I remember there were these women and their husbands were getting detained, and they tried to fight. So there are people that will fight for their partner unconditionally.
Or what if you found out? Okay, and here's a scenario: you found out you just got married. Young people. And young people have a harder time with unconditional love than people that have been vested with one another for a long time. What if you found out right early on that your partner had a progressive disease? Would you stay or would you go? I asked a lot of people that in my lifetime. And do I think that money is a factor in relationships when you're young? Absolutely. I think stress and money pressure and not having enough money absolutely weighs heavy. But have I seen couples that have had all kinds of problems, but because they loved each other, really loved each other? But you know what the key is that I found about unconditional love? In the people that stayed together, they met early on, and they really respected and communicated that love even through the hardest times, like whether it's alcoholism or a sickness or any kind of sickness. They were connected young, and they had some years under their belt before the sickness arose. But yet I know somebody that her spouse, they were engaged, got cancer. And it was a friend of the family. And she married him. She said, I was planning on marrying him. I love him. I will love him till the day he dies. And she did. And it wasn't long. The marriage didn't last long. So
right. Let's. I know they say if something serious happens to you, like let's say somebody became a quadriplegic, you can't be somebody's caretaker, because
no, you can't. You can't.
Because let's say, hypothetically speaking, your wife was taking care of you. She would grow to resent you, and
yes,
maybe she would feel guilty. But so obviously, if you become a quadriplegic, and maybe there is unconditional love. Maybe it was the love of your life, your soulmate, and they get injured in a car accident, God forbid. And
that's a really, really, really hard thing, especially if somebody's very young. There was when you were actually born, there was a child that was in the hospital.
All right, let's use Christopher Reeve as the example. Let's not use.
Well, Christopher Reeve's wife stayed by him, and then she got sick, so she stayed by him. Does money help the situation? Yes. If you're struggling and you can't eat and you're trying to take care of somebody, it makes it harder. But does money help the situation? Yes. Do I feel that everybody has to separate the caregiver role with the spouse role or whatever your relationship is? Yeah, you have to. You cannot be somebody's caregiver all the time. You have to have a break. Caregivers need, if they're caring for somebody, they need several months out of the year where they take a break, because it's grueling to take care of somebody on that level. It's grueling. So,
and if you find somebody who will stick with you no matter what, like your soulmate, somebody that, you know, is a true, genuine friend who will love you unconditionally, you're a lucky person, because, you know, I mean, one or two good friends.
It is hard to.
It exists, but I mean, one or two really good soulmate friends, or, you know, if you have one or two of them, maybe even three, you're just like the luckiest person on the planet, because it exists. But so few people will be like a soulmate, like love you unconditionally person.
So be selective in who you choose to have in your life, because yes, the soul, when you talk about soulmates, I personally believe in the soul, that we do have a depth in our soul, that there's an inner essence. So when you speak of that, I believe that you have to look for that in the person, a soulfulness, you know, and I think it's out there. I just think it's very, like you said, it's very hard to find. So if you find it, hang on, because those are the people that are worth having in your life.
Right. Absolutely. And, you know,
and love.
I know like a common theme in like songs and movies is like, I would die for you. But like, really, like, I would never want to be in a situation where my friendship would be tested like that. Like, you know, like, would you die for me? Would you like it's a Bruno Mars song. Would you catch a grenade for me? Would you jump in front of a train for me? It's like, what are these scenarios? Why would anybody ever be in this situation? You know what I mean? I think
I believe there are people that would risk. Look at 9/11. Okay, we just
no. I agree that, but like, I was kind of making a joke. I mean, obviously there are people that would risk their lives to save somebody else. Absolutely, but I mean, why would you?
I think most mothers would risk their lives for their children. They would. Most mothers. It's just almost an instinct. It's almost a natural instinct of the strongest love, or some of the strongest love in the world is even in the animal kingdom, a mother's love for their young. I mean, that's just innate. It's innate. But I mean, a love between two individuals, yeah, I believe it does exist, but it's a like I said again, it's a soulful person. It's a person with a deep, you know, soulful ability, that, you know, that they're you know, they have that inner essence. So
right. I mean, so many people aren't capable of having true love with somebody.
No,
there are people that need that inner essence, but I think there are people that are capable of having true, intense love with somebody, and, you know, basically you just become like, you know, I mean, true love really exists. But
do you think, like, if I were to say to you, what's your definition of true love? What's your definition of it? Could you define it? I define it in one word, and it's a selflessness. It's an unselfishness that you would give of yourself first before you know, to that other person before you. So it's a selflessness.
Right.
You know, I believe that true love doesn't know selfishness. It's you would rather see the other person happy than before you're happy. You'd rather see them fulfilled before you're fulfilled. Giving of oneself I
know you said like grandma was very selfish, but you know, would she have like? And Grandpa kind of was like, you know, would take care of her in a way. But would Grandma have risked her life to save Grandpa? You know what I mean? Or do you think Grandma was very?
Mm, I know, look, it's hard to judge another human being.
Right. So
But
not everything is a black and white kind of issue because like say some people would are a little selfish by nature, but I mean they might adore the other person to the point where they would just really fight for the person to the very end.
some people have that ability to not think and just do, and because of their love, their deep love, and other people, maybe not. They're, they think first, and the fear, they're more they get more frightened. So sometimes I don't know if it necessarily is always selfishness. It might be fear. You know what I mean?
Right. So sometimes that's how I think I am. I have friends that I really like adore, and sometimes I'm like an anxious kind of guy where I'm frightened, I'm timid, and like a lot of my selfishness has to do with anxiety. I think
Yes.
What I mean?
Yes, and I think that was Grandma too. I think that anxiety makes people appear selfish, but it's not selfishness, it's fear. Like, for instance, if on 9/11, if you were running down the stairs because you were frightened and the flames were licking at your heels, if you saw somebody in the corner saying, "Help me, please help me," I think even beyond fear, I think most people would grab that person and help them. Most people would get over their fear because of their genuineness. I do believe that. I do believe that there are some people that'll just keep running.
Right.
Like one of my friends said that her son-in-law, when 9/11 happened, he just ran. He just left, and he left everybody there.
Like in a way, it's kind of like if you do just run, your life might as well be. Because you're gonna have guilt. I mean, you're gonna.
His life is over. He literally, everybody that he left and didn't say go home. He didn't say go home. He just left, and he was a big wig.
Oh, let's not get sued. But
No. But for the rest of your life, you now have survivor's guilt. So you might not. You should have gone up in smoke because his life was never the same. So you really can't. You can't escape fate. I believe that there's a fate for everyone. Everybody has a fate. And
there are obviously psychopaths that don't feel any guilt whatsoever, but obviously most people, if you're in a situation where you're a coward, you run from the situation, leave people to die, most people are going to feel guilt. And, in a way, it's kind of like you just try to help people, even if it's a really bad situation. You know what I mean?
I know that this is a funny, and it's a King of Queens episode. They're landing in LaGuardia Airport, husband and wife, and they hit a bump when they land, and the masks come down, and he grabs the masks and quickly puts it on his face, and like everybody else, they said, "Oh, we hit a little bump," and he's got the mask on and he's breathing on the mask, and she said, "What would you do if we were stranded? Gnaw at my hip for nourishment?" But she says, "I can't look at you the same because you put the mask on. You didn't even check to see if I was okay." And, he's really upset because he said, I would save you. And she's like, "But you didn't. You saved yourself."
Right. So like, hopefully we never have to be in obviously life is unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen, but hopefully nobody ever gets in a situation where they have to realize, where they have to, hopefully nobody's ever in a situation where they have to be tested like that. But I like to think I do the right thing. Who knows unless the situation is presented.
But you know what? You're pure of heart. Whether it's motivated by, I think you're pure of heart, and I think that you would never be motivated by maliciousness. So I think that that's all you really have to know. As long as you know yourself, that for the most part you would do anything to help somebody else if you could. Sometimes it's a matter of can you? You know what I mean? Not would you? It's can you? So at the end,
this is a situation, and I was sick at the time, but I was at a gym and I was running on the treadmill,
mhm.
and some guy hurt himself and he was like limping, and I didn't stop my running. I just want because I was like 40 minutes into my run, and I wanted to get to the 60-minute mark, and I knew if I stopped the exercise, other people were helping them, but you know, so maybe I don't know. I was sick at the time. I don't want to use that as like the conclusion that I wouldn't help somebody.
Well, look, okay. When Dale was working, there was a woman. You remember he was on TV. There was a woman that was being attacked by dogs, and I don't know. He didn't think about his own safety. He pulled the woman into the van and she was hemorrhaging, and he tied a tourniquet around her arm. And, my thought would be,
Yeah,
she's
HIV,
bleeding
STDs.
and
Yeah,
bleeding all over me, all over my car, all over. Would I have helped her? Absolutely. I know I would have helped her, but I would be freaking out and being really careful. He didn't think about that, where you have to be careful because, we also saved somebody that got hit by a car, and we pushed our car, and we got, we helped them, and we got the ambulance. But you still have to, we went to the woman and we went to the hospital and we asked her about her blood work, because when you're exposed like that, she was more than happy to give her blood, showing that she was clean. But I mean,
sometimes it's angering, like when people are cowards, because like I mean, like in a situation where somebody's dying, some people will do nothing. For example, I was at the mall food court, and I was my psychiatric medications cause esophagus paralysis, which frustrates me. That's another issue for another podcast. But I was eating halal, lamb over rice, and part of the lamb got caught in my throat. I wasn't quite choking, but I was having difficulty swallowing, and I kept trying to drink it. And I went up to somebody, like grabbing my throat, and the guy just didn't want to help me. And I was probably boiling down to like he doesn't know what I have. He doesn't know if I have HIV. I wanted to let somebody know I was choking, but like everybody's like, no, get away from me. Nobody wants to help you in a situation like that.
Yeah, see, I, being a medical professional, would always jump in, knowing that the cardinal sign of somebody choking is they put their hands around their throat. The girls in that car accident that I was describing that hit the guy, they were so young girls. They pulled over and were hysterical. They just couldn't help the guy. They were too hysterical. It's not they hit him. So they were the ones that caused his accident. He actually did by running in front of their car in the rain, whatever. But they were too hysterical to help him. Now, had we not been there, like you talked about selfishness, all the cars that wanted to go, they wanted to practically run the guy over. Nobody got out of their car to help.
I know you say there's certain family members who, if somebody gets hit by a train or like, they're like, they get so frustrated that they're being inconvenienced. If you really think about that, like somebody has just lost their life, but
Right.
everybody is like, you know what? I don't want to be an hour late to my job, so
they were actually beeping at me because I took the car that we had at the time, which was a large car, and I blocked all the lanes. So this
all right, let's
guy,
not get sued, but yeah, I understand.
oh, it's years ago. It happened years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, but you talk about selfishness when you said that people didn't help you. Nobody wanted to help this young gentleman either, but he was okay, thank goodness, and you were okay, thank goodness. But the scary part is, come on, people, be a good Samaritan, do the right thing,
Right.
and is what it is.
I mean, sometimes. I mean, I don't believe karma necessarily exists, because you can do the right thing, your entire life, be the most genuine person, the most nice person. Didn't you see that happen with Grandpa? He was nice to everybody his entire life, and the kindest person, helped everybody, and then and we don't want to get sued, but there are people that were really not nice to him while he was dying.
Mean. One doctor, yes, mean.
Oh my God! But yeah, but
I don't.
No, I mean, because I'm going to be the one that gets sued, not you. But yeah,
They can sue me.
Right.
But no, yeah. So there are people out there. He was the most genuine person and did everything for everybody else. So Do I hope karma exists? Absolutely.
I mean, you might say karma exists in the form of God. Like maybe maybe
I
Grandpa
pray.
will go to heaven and the bad people will go to hell, or whatever the situation may be. But
or something will happen in their life where people will be like, but I don't know. You know, people that have a lot of money, can they buy what they want? I don't know. I just hope. I hope
if karma existed on Earth, somebody who's been nice to everybody their whole life, such as Grandpa, would experience like a loving person at the very end. You know what I mean? So karma on Earth doesn't exist. Maybe it exists maybe it exists in the afterlife, in that, you know, Grandpa will go to heaven and the people who did wrong by him. And I think this is why religion was created, because the rich, you know, like look at the wealthy, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Donald Trumps. You know, they're living like these beautiful like the pop superstars. They're living these beautiful existences, living in the mansions. And like people that are living in poverty, even people that are living in middle class existences, are struggling. They're suffering, and you want to believe you're going to be rewarded for your good behavior. You want to believe you're going to be rewarded, and you know, unfortunately, life isn't fair. You know, and life is just not fair.
No, it's not fair. It's not. And the super wealthy want to stay super wealthy. And like I said, let's not get political, but you know, there's plenty of politicians out there for 47, 50 years in politics that have been stealing and stealing and stealing, and they don't care about the small people. They just don't. And
No.
I hope that they all have their day in court. That's all I can say.
Right. You know, day in court in the afterlife, or day in court like as in like the Phoenix Wright?
Well, it would be nice. It would be nice now, but you know, they have so much power and money they can get out of that. So that is what it is, unfortunately.
That is
what it is. Good podcast. Good talk.
Bye.